Hi Sag, welcome to your season. Happy birthday to the Sagittarians out there. We're going to look at the energies available to you for December 2019. Please join me while I shuffle. Check in with your higher self and guides. Tune in. Ask them to connect with me, with my higher self and my guides, so that we can create a feedback loop through time and space to make sure that the messages you receive here today are tailored for you. Okay, let's have a look. Ace of Cups at the bottom of the deck, upright. Judgment, Seven of Wands, Nine of Swords, Three of Swords reversed, Four of Swords, Ten of Cups. Queen of Swords, Knight of Cups reversed, Knight of Wands reversed, and Knight of Pentacles upright. That's interesting. All court cards in the quadrants of the reading. Ten of Pentacles, so you have two tens here, both upright. Eight of Pentacles reversed, Page of Pentacles reversed, and the Hierophant reversed. Interesting spread. Very interesting spread. What I'm feeling from the cards, my first impression of the energy of the cards as a kind of collective snapshot, is that something that you've been considering for some time, in maybe recent months, in the recent time, you may have been spending a lot of time contemplating on a specific issue, and I feel that issue has to do with your heart space, your romantic relationship, or someone that you are, closely interacting with. And I feel that you may have overcome your own resistance to whatever openness you may have been kind of avoiding with another person. I feel like you've overcome some resistance. You may have gained some clarity in recent times about your partnership or about your relationship. It may or may not be a romantic dynamic. It could be a business partnership, for example. For some of you, I feel like you've come into a space of clarity and truth and understanding, having perhaps overcome some uncertainty or some indecisiveness or lack of clarity, or I'm hearing meddling. So for some of you, you may have been dealing with a person outside of your relationship who may have been causing interference somehow by giving their opinion on your relationship or on some topics related to you, and that might have affected the way you were able to discern or clearly understand the factors that you actually are dealing with. Someone's opinion may have skewed your personal understanding of your current situation, and they may have been actually trying to help you, but I feel like that person may have unwittingly or unknowingly affected your ability to have clarity on your circumstance. For others of you, it's not about another person being involved in the situation, but rather your own, because you have the Judgment in reverse here with the Hierophant in reverse. So for some of you, I feel like there's this energy here where you may have been overcomplicating or overthinking things. You may have been applying a lot of pressure to yourself and another person based on your expectations and perceptions of what is important and what you may feel like is necessary. You may have, I'm hearing overcompensate. So what I'm feeling with that is that you may have had too high of ideals or too high of expectations on yourself and on your partner. And that may have been causing some frustration and some challenges within the dynamic. But like in the end, what I feel like, because the final outcome cards that you have here at the end of the reading are really beautiful. You have Ten of Cups, Ten of Pentacles, and the Knight of Pentacles. So these three cards together here are telling me that after a period of deliberation and maybe confusion, maybe you've been withholding from your partner, maybe your partner doesn't even know that you've been going through this period of questioning your relationship. Maybe you've been withdrawn from them and just kind of trying to process information on your own. Some of you may have been more open with your partner and there has been a dialogue, but overall the energy I'm getting here is that you may have now popped out into it in a time where after some time of deliberation, maybe some confusion or lack of clarity or an uncertain time period. You're coming out now into this window here where you're recommitting to your relationship. You may be recommitting to yourself. You may be also simply realizing that what you have is actually really good, and you may have been somehow, maybe even with this Nine of Swords and the Seven of Wands here, you might have even been like kind of deliberately, unknowingly self-sabotaging your relationship because you may not have felt like you were deserving in some ways, or that may not apply to everyone. You may have been questioning the validity of your dynamic with another person because you felt like maybe it was too hard work. You may have felt like you've been putting in so much effort and there's been a lot of strain and a lot of like feeling a little bit limited by your interaction with another person. But I feel like now, if that's true for you, for some of you that may be true, you might be popping out here into this time where you're realizing like actually it's super worth it because this person is actually amazing, and there's a level of being met here that you may not have ever experienced in other relationships before. And yeah, there may be some challenging aspects to it, like you may be dealing with a person who is in a healing crisis, for example, and you may not be right now. You may have been in that space before in the past, and you might be feeling like, oh, I've been through this. Why am I dealing with this person now? Like I'm past this kind of energy, and you may be realizing that actually there's a level of meeting with this person that's so unique and special, and the time is not linear, neither is healing, and you may be supporting this person going through a difficult time period, and you might feel like you don't need to go through that because you've already been doing your own healing work. But you may be coming to realize that, you know, this person is super solid and they would totally be there for you in that way. And it's not to say that you have to feel obligated in any way. It's just about realizing that this person is a really good compatible match for you, and there's a level of equality and a level of being met by this person that is, I'm hearing unqualified, so it's hard to find, right? I want to address these three Knights in the reading because it's super interesting. Knight of Cups reversed, Knight of Wands reversed, and then Knight of Pentacles upright. So what this is telling me, as I said, this Knight of Pentacles being in the outcome position with the Ten of Pentacles upright and the Ten of Cups upright is telling me that you've popped through a difficult time here. Now you're realizing that you're actually really super down to commit. You realize that actually you're in a really supportive communion with this person. But seeing these two cards come out in reverse in the quadrants of your environment and your hopes and fears is simply telling me that you may have been questioning. I hear double down. So some of you may have been like in a difficult time of like unable to decide or unable to feel like clear about what you want to do, and maybe that double down could be referring to the fact that you may have been, like I said, for some of you, a little bit of energy of some self-sabotage here with this like Nine of Swords and Seven of Wands. For some, it could be more like you feeling frustrated in your inability to help someone or to support someone in what they've been going through. And as I mentioned earlier, you may have been feeling like, I've been through my own healing journey, like this crisis that this person is going through is like too much for me, and I don't really feel like I have the energy to keep being available to their process. But I feel like these energies are both in the past. I feel like they're both in the past. Also with this Page of Pentacles in reverse, with the Knight of Cups in reverse, I feel like you're, how do I describe that? Like if you have maybe considering bowing out of the commitment, that you may have been realizing that was coming from an immature place, that you may have been being a little bit selfish in a certain way, like with the Page of Pentacles in reverse. Like you may have been wanting to kind of, both of these cards actually in reverse are both kind of saying like whatever was there that was like feeling really special and super amazing and important before may have lost a little bit of its shine because something difficult was happening, and you may have been feeling a little bit like you want to bow out, you want to kind of like withdraw your commitment from a certain person or a situation because it's been really challenging. That's clear in this reading. There has been a challenging experience. But yeah, this Knight of Wands reversed with the Eight of Pentacles reversed. Again, these are very similar energies, these two quadrants. This is saying to me that you may have lost some passion. You may have lost some passion in your commitment to a person. You may have lost some enthusiasm because it's been incredibly hard work to kind of maintain, you know. It's been really hard work. It's been, maybe you've been, I'm hearing suffocated, like you may have been feeling a little bit stifled under the constant, what I'm feeling with this Eight of Pentacles in reverse in particular right now is that, like, you may have been feeling like this person that you're dealing with has been kind of scrutinizing over the details so much to the point that it's just exhausted you. Like, you may be feeling frustrated or bored that you're kind of still talking about the same topics, the same issues, the same things have been coming up again and again, and you may feel like you're just tired of talking about these things. You're tired of processing. And some of the passion, the vitality that you have felt for the person or for the environment that you've been sharing has waned a little bit. Let me see if there's anything else here. I want to go back to this Queen of Swords with the Hierophant in reverse. Queen of Swords, Hierophant in reverse. So this is telling me that you, as I said earlier on, like, you may have been hypercritical, perhaps, or overly, on one hand, hypercritical. On the other hand, you may have been too frustrated by your own inability to be clear or make a decision on something. And I feel like with this Hierophant in reverse, this is actually bringing a really positive energy, in the sense that you may be overcoming some of your really fixed and controlling energy around this topic. You may be feeling a little bit more at ease, in the sense that you're able to accept a little bit more and be more flexible and adaptable and enduring. There's a feeling of like there's a few things there, like releasing some of your judgment or some of your fixedness or some of your controllingness. There's also a feeling of being able to be more adaptable and accepting. And there's something here about conservatism, about you releasing some conservatism. I'm not sure what that is exactly. That hopefully, if that word resonates for you and you'll know what it's talking about, you can leave me a message and let me know in the comments. I feel like it's about overcoming some conservativeness or conservatism, and maybe opening up to something a little bit more unconventional. That could be some of what's going on here too. Let's have a look at the bottom of the deck. Ace of Cups upright with the star, really nice. Eight of Cups upright and Four of Wands reversed. So again, what I feel with these four cards is there's this energy of renewal. So if you have been in a situation, which I suspect here with these, you know, all these swords cards here, where you've been really considering your options, weighing your options, feeling a bit too trapped or stuck in a situation and wanting to break free, but then realizing actually what you're in is pretty good, and you may just need to discover a little bit more patience and endurance and loyalty for the process. So this Ace of Cups with the star is giving me a lot of renewed energy, hopefulness and love, unconditional love, compassion for what it is that you are in. And what I very much feel like this is a relationship reading, even though there's not necessarily a lot of cards indicating that by the actual, like, you know what I mean, the court cards or the major arcanas are not necessarily saying that there's a relationship. But I really feel like all the descriptions that I've given with regards to indecision or like feelings that have been coming up, it's not necessarily about you. It's all about you, but it's about how you are feeling as a result of another person's process. So these two cards are feeling like you have a renewed sense of hope and optimism, and it's almost like a second wind, a renewal of your energy that can come into a situation and bring back some more, like you may have withdrawn a little bit. Energetically, you may have withdrawn. Even if you're still physically around, you may have been in a process where you were quietly contemplating this kind of uncertainty around your relationship. You may or may not have openly discussed this with your partner. You may have been kind of quietly considering, but energetically you may have pulled back, and the other person may have been feeling a little bit. I mean, obviously you're watching this reading, so you're an empathic person and sensitive person. So surely your partner would have noticed you're energetically pulling back from them, even if you weren't communicating of it. But this energy is showing here that you're coming back in with a renewed, hopeful, optimistic energy of healing and compassion and willingness to kind of continue to support and be involved and stay loyal, and also just a realization that, you know, what you have is pretty good. You may have been in a difficult time, your partner may have been in a difficult time, but it's actually really good. It's a really beautiful partnership. Look at these four cards together. Okay. Now there's that Eight of Cups there with the Four of Wands. Let's talk about that. Oops. One second. So, Eight of Cups with the Four of Wands in reverse. What does this mean? So I feel that for some of you, it's almost like this Eight of Cups with this Four of Wands in reverse kind of describes what I was talking about, like what the energy has been before this moment. Like this is what's right before this reading. This is you thinking about walking away from a relationship and maybe leaving the family home or leaving a commitment or ending a promise. That's what these two cards are saying. So for some of you, this is describing what has been before and what you have come into this reading with, and that's now shifted to this energy. Oh, what's going on? The Ace of Cups and the Star. But for some of you, these two cards here as the extension of the reading may just suggest that some of you are actually still considering making a move onwards and perhaps ending your relationship. And there's no right or wrong. Only you can know what's best for you. Yeah, it's just interesting to see this at the end of the reading when I was feeling like this was the energy that actually brought us into this reading, you know. Yeah. So I feel like I've covered everything. Just let me check over here, make sure I haven't missed anything. The Seven of Wands at the heart of the reading is interesting. It's actually, I read the crossing card as a reversal or an upright, and in this position it's actually in reverse. So I feel like, and with the Judgment as also a reversal at the center of the reading, I really feel like the message from your higher self here is to let go. I feel like not let go of the relationship or of the person, but it's more about letting go of whatever resistance that you have to actually just being present in the moment. That's not, I mean, I'm also not giving you advice here whether you should stay or whether you should leave your relationship. That's not what I'm saying either. This is just more about the energetics of your, like the energy of your auric field will either have receptivity or resistance in it. And this is kind of saying like that your challenge is to drop that resistant energy and just like kind of let it fall away into a space where it becomes a receptivity. And that energetic shift is so minor, but it's really big in the life of like in the world of the difference between things flowing and you feeling good versus things being really like stunted and difficult and challenging and you feeling kind of like irritable and annoyed. That's kind of the difference between being receptive or being resistant. So I feel like that is a key element of this reading. Your guides are saying like it's not about whether you leave or stay, it's just about your energetic shift within you, and it's such a minor and small recalibration, but it will make a huge difference in your just basic sense of well-being, but also in your ability to problem solve and troubleshoot and feel present and be like have a stabilized mood given the circumstances that may be on, whether or not it's you or another person that's having a healing crisis. Okay, that is the general reading. I'm going to move on now and give the higher octave reading with the Voyager deck. So please join me again while I shuffle. The higher octave reading is designed to give a little bit more insight in what may be happening karmically and spiritually to hopefully help provide some insight and even practical advice for how to best deal with the energies that we're dealing with to make the most out of the lessons that are at play. So please send your energy over into the deck while I shuffle. And you'll be contributing your energy to this reading so that the messages that come through will be tailored for you. the bottom of the deck, we have the Man of Wands. It's the King, King of Wands there. Tower reversed, crossed by Four of Pentacles. Man of Crystals reversed, that's the King of Swords. Eight of Cups, same card that we have here. Balance in reverse, that's the Justice card. Seven of Cups reversed, Six of Worlds reversed, Four of Wands upright, that's this card. Nine of Pentacles, the Star upright, same card. Lovers, nice. Five of Cups, the Universe, it's the World in this deck. And Sage of Cups reversed. Interesting spread. There's not a lot of repeating cards in this reading, which if you've watched my videos before, you'll know that there quite often is. And often it's the second reading is a reiteration with some additional insight. But this feels a little bit different. With the exception of this Star and Lovers in the outcome, that does feel quite similar to the energy that you had here with the Star, the Ten of Cups, Ten of Pentacles in the previous reading. This does feel like there is like a confirmation that energetically you may be aware that your dynamic with another person is actually really special and very unique, and it's quite profound. And even if it's been difficult in recent months perhaps, you may be having this renewed hopefulness for it at this time, given that you may be, even though the circumstances that your person may be dealing with may not have changed that much, but your attitude about it is what's changing here. And I feel like that's what's helping generate a shift for you, that's bringing you out of a situation where you may have been feeling confused or lacking hopefulness, or even lacking the will or the desire to keep being available to this person. Not as a result of any difficulties that you may have been dealing with each other, but because your person has been having their own difficulties and their own healing crisis. That's what I feel really strongly in this reading, is that whatever issues you're dealing with is not necessarily about some issues that are being flared up between two people. It's maybe the issues that one person is dealing with in their own healing process that may be affecting the way that you feel. Having the Balance card, which is Justice from other decks, in the reverse position in the recent past of this reading, and then that comes through to the Seven of Cups in reverse here in this deck, is called Fear. So what that's telling me, and again, okay, so these two central axes, the central axis across the horizontal plane is from recent past to near future or currently, and this vertical axis is from the unconscious mind to the conscious mind. So this is what we don't know, and this is what we know. And of course the central theme is at the heart of the reading. So what I'm getting from these two lines is that you've been feeling frustrated because you feel like someone else's karmic issues are becoming your issues because you're closely operating with them. And you may be feeling like in your personal pursuits or in your personal progression, you may have been feeling a little bit emotionally stagnant because maybe you feel like the pressure from this person's healing crisis is affecting you more than you think is fair, or more than you think it should be somehow. And you might be even feeling a little bit of lack of clarity in your own process of your own moving forward, because as I said in the previous reading, you haven't been able to see with clarity exactly whether or not you want to pursue continuation with someone, given that they've been in a healing crisis for some time, and you kind of just feel like you want to move on in your own way and just get your, like, be in your own healing journey without necessarily feeling what might seem like a burden from someone else's experience coming through. But then the quadrants of the reading are giving other energies. So this quadrant here, we have Six of Pentacles with the Sage of Cups in reverse. Here we have Four of Wands and the Universe, both upright. Five of Cups, Nine of Pentacles, both upright, and the Star and the Lovers, both upright. So it is kind of a similar energy to the previous reading. It does kind of suggest here that, like in this quadrant here in the previous reading, you have Queen of Swords and the Hierophant was in reverse. And that was kind of saying like you have some discernment and you may be feeling like you can overcome some of your own frustration and your own stubbornness and your own control issues to kind of get a second win and get renewed hope for the relationship. And that's kind of what is repeated here too a little bit. Six of Worlds is saying like, and the Sage of Cups reversed with it is kind of suggesting that while there may have been some emotionally difficult things, there is a very symbiotic relationship. There's a synergy between you and this other person, and that you do actually work very well together, and there is a lot of emotional support. And even though this Sage of Cups is in reverse, I feel like this is just a momentary description of you feeling a little bit exhausted by having been such a consistent emotional support for this person, and simply maybe feeling like you need a little bit of a break from it, or maybe you've taken a break from it and now you're able to come back in and be again supportive and provide like that healing space for someone. Not necessarily that you need to actually even do anything, it's more just about your energetic presence, right? This quadrant of the environment, 4 of Wands upright with the universe. Again, this is kind of a confirmation for me that you understand that the person that you're dealing with is it's a very unique dynamic between you and them. And that it is very, it's nurturing in the sense that, like having the world with the 4 of Wands here, what that says to me is that there is a joyful, celebratory connection with this person. There may be moments where there is some feeling like of it being work, but I think there's a level of understanding and this kind of mutual reciprocity between you that does kind of have a unique flair to it, where you may not have experienced that very much with other people in your life, but there is this feeling here of like really feeling met in a very specific metaphysical, spiritual way. There's a lot of understanding, there's just a lot of support. There's a level of being met and resonating in a specific way with this person that is very beneficial for you in your life. And like I said, what I feel like overall in this reading, what I'm feeling is that you may have been kind of on track with this person for a long time through some difficult experience they've been going through. And you may have been, like, lost a bit of steam because maybe they've been going through something for so long, and you kind of feel like you've been doing your healing and you're not in that same space with them. But in the hopes and fears quadrant of this reading, you have 5 of Cups with 9 of Pentacles. So it's almost like you suspect that you would be really regretful if you walked away from this, because it is so nurturing and there is such a bountiful level of energetic support and comfort and even luxury within your relationship here. And I think you're starting to understand that this is actually, even though it feels like a long time, it's such a short blip in terms of the grand scheme of life and evolving and, you know, being a spiritual entity who's been on their journey for a really long time. It might be a little bit frustrating, but this is just like some human quantification of a moment of time. And then, yeah, coming out of this reading with the Star and the Lovers, again, it's like a repetition of what we said earlier, where I feel that you may have come to understand that there is something very unique and very special about this dynamic with this person. And you're getting like a second wind and a renewed sense of hope and inspiration to continue contributing healing energy to the situation, to sort of just allow it to kind of unfold naturally. Bottom of the deck, we have the Man of Wands, 6 of Cups, Time Space. So that's the Judgment card, which we had in the previous reading again. And 10 of Pentacles, which we also had in the previous reading. More of the same. I do feel like this is a more or less a repetition of what we've already been talking about. So there may be like, you may have a lot of energy right now to kind of push forward and pursue your own pursuits. But and there's again this feeling here of like you may be just tired of having to help someone else process some sadness or some like old emotional energy that they're still seeking to understand and release. And you may be feeling like you're fired up to go forward and push ahead with things that are that are interesting to you, things that you wish to pursue, whether they're, you know, business or creative endeavors. Or even other relationships, not necessarily romantic ones, but even just like connections that you feel drawn to, that feel like powerful and meaningful, that you want to explore. But there's this energy here of like, and maybe that's what this stagnation is about here as well. There's this feeling here of you kind of holding back a little bit on your own stuff, because you feel like that there's a need from your person to kind of be more available to them or be more supportive. And I would have to say about that, just be careful that you don't allow yourself to enter into the space of resentment with that. You've got to keep, you do have to keep maintaining your own energy in a way that you're feeling fulfilled in your own pursuits and the things that are coming up for you, things that are showing up along the way. You know, don't turn away from opportunities that are showing up because you feel like you need to be there for someone or something like that, you know. That's what I feel with these two cards. Make sure that you are in a healthy state of independence and interdependence in your relationship, so that you are not ever compromising too much on what it is that your path is providing for you, as far as like how you're being, you know, pulsed forward in your own development, while still being like a supportive, loving person in a relationship. You still have to maintain your own path forward and not sacrifice or compromise too much in order to be available to another person, because that will have its own consequences. And then here, Judgment and the Ten of Pentacles again. It's kind of like, it's funny because it's like the first card of the reading and is now the last card of the reading. This Ten of Pentacles was here, now it's here. I do feel that this is again just kind of like bookends of this reading, saying that you may not have clarity before, but I feel like that there you have come to clarity now. And that it's interesting because in this deck, Judgment and the World have come out, and in other decks, Judgment and the World are called Judgment and the World. In this deck, it's called Time, Space, and the Universe. So this is energy here of timelessness, of continuation, of infinity, of an endlessness. So while there may have been an energy in the previous reading or in your current psyche of something finite, something like with a time limit on it, something that needs to be addressed right now, these cards coming out are kind of saying like there is no time in a sense. I know that sounds super fluffy, but it's just like it's a continuation of work that has always been and always will, and there's no right or wrong, there's no good or bad. Yes, karma exists, but you always have the choice. You can always operate from free will, and if you decide to change your mind about something right now, it's okay. There'll always be other opportunities that show up in the time-space continuum to allow you to work those things out if you decide that now is not the right time for you to deal with those things. That's completely up to you, and there's no judgment about that. There's no right and wrong. You have free will in all cases. Okay, that feels like your reading, Sagittarius. I'm going to just check over here. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for watching, Sagittarius. Again, happy birthday. Enjoy this month. We all will. We love Sag season. Thanks so much for liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. I would suggest that you maybe come back to this again at the end of the month, bookmark it, or put it in a playlist so you can find it again. And check in at the end of the month, see if any of that makes more sense later on after some events unfold. And yeah, we'll see you in next month's reading.